There comes a moment, often in silence, often in struggle, when we ask ourselves, what am I really living for? Is it just survival, the daily checklist, the routine that feels more like a cage than a rhythm? Or is there something greater? Something beyond just us? If you've ever felt like your life lacked meaning, if you've ever cried behind closed doors wondering if anyone truly sees your worth, then this conversation is for you. Because sometimes the most powerful way to find yourself is to live for someone else. We're taught from a very young age that fulfillment comes from achievement, that the more we collect degrees, promotions, applause, the more valuable we become. And so we run, we chase, we compete. But at the end of that exhausting race, we often find ourselves feeling more alone than ever. Because what we were never told is that true fulfillment doesn't come from what we accumulate, it comes from what we give. The warmth you feel when you make someone smile after a long day. The quiet pride in your heart when you stand beside someone just to let them know they're not alone. That, right there, is the kind of wealth no money can buy. When you live for others, even in small, unseen ways, life begins to change its rhythm. It starts to feel less hollow, more whole. You no longer need constant validation, because your presence becomes a source of light for someone else. Fulfillment stops being a destination and becomes a daily feeling, a soft, deep contentment that comes from knowing your existence is adding value, even if the world isn't clapping for you. And the most beautiful thing is that you don't have to be extraordinary to make an impact. You just have to care. In that moment when you put someone else's needs before your own, not because you have to, but because your heart wants to, you become someone who gives life meaning. There's a certain kind of pain that words can't describe. A silence in the soul after heartbreak, betrayal, or loss. And in those moments, it's tempting to shut down, to close our hearts, to believe that healing is only possible in solitude. But I've learned that sometimes the path to healing is paved not by self-focus, but by selfless action. When we begin to live for others, not as an escape from our pain, but as a transformation of it, something shifts inside us. Our wounds don't disappear, but they begin to serve a purpose. We find meaning in being a voice for the voiceless, a comfort for someone else's grief, a reminder that no one has to walk through the dark alone. And in being that for someone else, we find pieces of ourselves again. We reclaim our strength, not by forgetting what we've endured, but by using it to uplift others. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about turning your pain into power, your story into service, your struggle into a soft place for someone else to land. Healing through giving isn't about losing yourself. It's about becoming whole in ways you never imagined. So many of us spend our lives asking, what is my purpose? We look for it in careers, in relationships, in success stories written by others. But purpose isn't something waiting for us at the end of a long, perfect plan. Purpose is born in the quiet moments when we choose to look beyond ourselves. When we reach out to someone else with kindness, when we show up when it's inconvenient, when we listen just to understand. That's when purpose begins to reveal itself, not as a grand title, but as a soft, persistent calling. You see, when we focus only on ourselves, our problems feel enormous. Our thoughts become walls. But the moment we extend our view and care for another soul, even in the simplest way, those walls begin to crack. Light gets in. Suddenly, we are no longer stuck inside our own pain. We are walking through it with someone else. And that's where meaning is created. In the eyes of the child you comfort, in the silent thank you from a stranger, in the strength you lend without even realizing it. Purpose is not about being important. It's about being useful. It's about being a reflection of the love and light you once wished someone had shown you. When we think of relationships, we often think of love as something to get, something to protect. But love isn't control. It's not possession. Love is service. It's the willingness to see someone fully, and still choose to stay when it's easier to walk away. The deepest relationships are not built through perfection, but through presence. When you live for others, not in a way that erases you, but in a way that uplifts them, you create space for genuine connection. Real love happens when we stop trying to change people and instead start understanding them. When we stop trying to be right and start trying to be kind. It's easy to love someone when everything is going well. But it's in their chaos, in their fear, in their worst moments, that's where love becomes real. Living for others in relationships means offering your heart without a contract. It means standing by someone without needing credit. It's choosing to be a safe space, not a judge. And in doing so, you create bonds that are not just close, but sacred. There are moments in life when someone is standing at the edge of hopelessness, of exhaustion, of giving up. And in that moment, your voice, your presence, your light could be the one thing that pulls them back. You might not even realize it. You might think you're just listening, just sending a message, just offering a hand. But to them, it's everything. That is the incredible power of living for others. You don't need grand gestures. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be there. Sometimes just reminding someone that they matter, that they're seen, that they are not alone, is enough to plant a seed of hope where there was none. You become the mirror they forgot how to look into. And in reflecting their worth back to them, you remind yourself of yours. This isn't about becoming someone's savior. It's about becoming their light in a dark tunnel, however brief, however quiet. That light doesn't just guide them, it heals you too. It reminds you of your capacity to make a difference. That even in your own brokenness, you are still capable of being someone's reason to believe again. That kind of impact may never be written about, but it will always be felt. Life tests us in ways we never expect. It bends us, breaks us, and sometimes leaves us gasping for air under the weight of our own fears. But what I've discovered is that living for others, especially in those times when we feel weakest, actually builds a strength that's deeper than anything we've known before. When we choose to focus outward, to notice someone else's struggle, even while we're facing our own, we grow in resilience. We stop being defined by what's hurting us and start becoming defined by how we respond to the world. Empathy is not a weakness. It is the armor of the emotionally resilient. When we offer compassion even when we ourselves are tired, that's not self-sacrifice. That's self-empowerment. Because in those moments, we're not only reminding others of their strength, we're proving our own. Each act of kindness, each moment of support, becomes a building block in the foundation of our emotional endurance. We stop being victims of our circumstances and become active participants in healing, both ours and others. Living for others teaches us to rise, not in isolation, but through connection. It teaches us that being strong doesn't mean never falling. It means being the kind of person who gets back up to help someone else stand. We often talk about legacy as something we leave behind: money, assets, achievements carved into plaques or printed in books. But the most powerful legacy is not found in things. It's found in people, in the lives we touch, in the hearts we help mend, in the hope we ignite without even realizing it. When you live for others, you plant seeds of strength, compassion, and courage in those who cross your path. And they carry those seeds forward into their own lives, into their own relationships, into the quiet moments where they become a source of light for someone else. That is legacy. It's not about being remembered by many. It's about being unforgettable to even one. It's in the way someone recalls your words on the day they almost gave up. It's in how they tell their children about the time someone believed in them when no one else did. And you may never hear about it. You may never know. But somewhere, someone is standing stronger because of you. Somewhere, someone made a kinder choice, took a braver step, dared to hope, because of the way you lived, the way you gave. That is the kind of legacy that outlives us. Not because it is loud, but because it is rooted in love. There is a difference between existing and truly living. Existing is about going through the motions, waking up, ticking boxes, surviving the day. But living, truly living, is about choosing to make your time here matter. And nothing gives life more meaning than choosing to live for others. Not because you have to, but because it's who you decide to be. It's in the way you pause to check on someone when the world tells you to keep moving. It's in the way you give a part of yourself, not what's left over, but what's intentional. When you live for others, your life stops being small. It stretches, expands, reaches into corners you never knew existed. You become part of something far greater than yourself. And suddenly, even the pain, even the setbacks, even the broken pieces, they all make sense. Because they become tools. They become bridges. They become the reason you're able to hold someone else's hand and say, I see you. I've been there. And we will get through this. That's not just a meaningful life. That's a beautiful one. One that matters deeply and endlessly. If this message stirred something in your heart, if it reminded you of the kind of person you want to be, not just for yourself, but for the people who matter, then don't let this moment slip by. Comment below. Who is one person you've shown up for recently? Or, who do you feel called to support right now? Let's build a space where our stories lift each other up. Like this video if it touched you. Share it with someone who needs this message today. And subscribe for more conversations that help you rise, heal, and become whole. Your voice matters. Your kindness matters. Your story matters. Tell us what you want us to talk about next. We're here to grow together. Because in a world that tells us to put ourselves first, choosing to live for others might just be the most powerful rebellion of all.